Indonesia is extremely unique. I mean, every mission, of course, is unique, right? But Indonesia is really, really unique. There's only about 70 missionaries that serve there. It's a mission that's about as wide as the United States, which most people don't really know that Indonesia is that large, but it is. In terms of landmass, it's not, because it's just a chain of 17,000 islands. And missionaries are allowed on, well, we serve actively on 3. So there's an island called Java, and that's where the bulk of your time is going to be spent serving. I mean, like I said, 90% of the members live there, and in Java, you'll be speaking Indonesian, Bahasa Indonesia, the whole time. However, every single city has a different language. So sometimes you'll be learning Javanese, sometimes you'll be learning Sundanese. Sundanese, I think so. I don't know, there's so many languages. So it's like really fun. Each city that you go to, you're also learning, besides improving your Indonesian, you're also learning a different local language, which is really kind of cool. And if you can kind of just learn, like, I wouldn't recommend, honestly, like really going into learning all that stuff and spending a lot of time getting into it. But it's worth, I think, learning the basics for each language that you go to, and you can kind of connect with the local people that way. And people love you for being able to speak Indonesian, or like just trying to speak their language. You know, it's the coolest thing. So anyway, back to the stats of the mission. Indonesia, so there's 70 missionaries total. We are spread out pretty far. I think if you were to put a distance between like the farthest point in the mission to the next farthest point, it'd be like from California to Chicago. I think is about as far as you go. So we do a lot of flying to get to zone meetings and things like that, which is kind of fun. And it also presents kind of another problem. I think most missionaries carry around 2 suitcases with them throughout their mission. I think for us, we only had 1, because you can only carry 1 on the airplane. So you have to be really good about getting it underweight, having a bag large enough to fit all your stuff, but also getting it underweight and living out of that bag for 2 years, because your 1 bag will stay at the mission home for the rest of it. The church was started in Indonesia in the early 1970s. I want to say like 1974, but I'm not totally positive. Relatively new. Actually, no, it's the same amount of time as the Philippines. I think one of the reasons it hasn't grown quite as extensively as the Philippines. Philippines has 3 temples. Indonesia just barely got their second stake. Indonesia is 90% Muslim. About 90% Muslim, and I think that plays a pretty key and critical role in how the missionary work happens. It's a lot slower. There's laws that say you can't proselyte, so you can't go knocking on doors, and you can't just approach people on the street telling them, "Hey, I'm Elder Johnson from the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. Let me tell you about Jesus Christ." You can't do that. You have to be more creative about the ways that you talk to people and the ways that you do your missionary work. It's in that way, I think it's more demanding than missions where you are allowed to legally proselyte. It's difficult to come up with new ways of proselyting every day when technically you're not really allowed to, So I don't know. That's made the progression of the church go slowly in a way. Although the members that are there are extremely strong, and you'll find you'll get to know like the very first members that were in Indonesia, and those kind of people are like stake presidents now, or just really, really good, solid people.